Search of Greatness, exploring careers one interview at a time. In Search of Greatness is a collaboration between Mashpee Public Schools, MashpeeTV, and the Mashpee Chamber of Commerce. This is your guide to finding your best career fit for the future. Hi everyone, my name is Consuelo Carroll and I'm the Outreach Coordinator for the Mashpee Public Schools, and I am here today with Kailey Cullen. She is the owner of the Cape Cod Dog Center, which is new to Mashpee. It just opened up off of Route 30 right near Cape Cod Coffee. Welcome, Kailey. I'm so glad to have you here today. And today I wanted to start talking about your career journey. So let's go back to high school. When you were in high school, what were you thinking career-wise? Was this the direction you were thinking about going?
You know, that's funny. That's a great question because I was definitely thinking something else. You know, I've always had a draw to dogs and a passion for them. I really enjoyed them as a kid growing up and tried to memorize the breeds. I loved them, but I never foresaw myself working with animals because I wasn't sure what that job would be. You know, I knew I didn't want to be a veterinarian or, you know, pursue any of that because I was like, oh, I love animals. I don't want to be the person that has to do medical care, things like that. So I never really saw myself having a career with animals that I knew of that it was possible, you know, a possibility. So in high school, I was thinking something along the lines of a business administrative degree. You know, I was looking into different colleges and options in terms of that. But yeah, it kind of was something that came up.
So how'd you make the switch? What drew you to animals?
So what happened was I ended up going to college in Boston. I started to take some community college classes, and during that time I took a part-time job as a dog walker. And so, you know, I saw the ad and I was like, oh, this is totally for me. I love animals. I'll do anything, you know, pick up poop, you know, easy stuff, you know, I can do that. So, you know, I started doing that, and the more that I did, the more I started getting deeper into it, and I started doing pet sitting and going into people's homes and staying overnight, and it just kind of took me away from there. Like I immediately was like, oh wow, I love doing this. I love being around all the different animals, and you know, it just kind of lit that fire underneath of me where I was like, I need to, you know, go this direction instead of, you know, not necessarily knowing where I was going with it.
You were enjoying what you were doing so much. Did you think I need to explore more about the pet care industry?
I mean, it's like I just started having the hands-on experience of working with all these different pets, and it's just like having your own pet at home where you have this bond and this relationship, and I just became like addicted to that. I was like, this is awesome. Like I love, you know, having these friends that are, you know, not human, and I was like, these are the kind of coworkers that I'm looking for. And you know, the more I learned and explored the industry, the more I learned that there's a huge need for it, and it's, you know, a growing interest of a lot of people. You know, everybody's got a dog, from young people to older people to, you know, for whatever reason, and that is needed. You know, animal care during the day, whether it's a walker or a dog daycare or, you know, overnights if you go away. It was a huge, you know, need for people up in the city, and so I was like, wow, I could be having a job that I love, that's fun, and get the hands-on experience with these animals that I think are so fascinating.
How long did you work in the city as a pet walker and a pet sitter?
The company that I had worked for, it started out with just me and one other woman, and we were just walking a bunch of dogs, and as years went on, it grew and grew and grew, and so I helped her grow her business to up to 10 or 15 dog walkers. We were servicing many different areas of the city, and I essentially became her assistant manager, where I was managing these 15 other walkers, you know, helping in terms of anything that needed to be done with the business, covering her when she was away, things like that. So I essentially became, you know, the assistant manager of this company over 6 or 7 years dog walking. And at one point I just determined that I was like, okay, I think I'm ready to take the jump into something new. You know, I've got this vision in my head of this dog center that I want to, you know, integrate into everybody's lives and my own. And, you know, doggy daycare was just getting more and more popular at that point, and there was all kinds of ones popping up everywhere, but people who didn't really have any experience working with animals, and so they were a little mismanaged, things like that. So I was like, you know what, I think I could really do this in a way that people would really enjoy, and dogs too. You know, so I kind of broke off from my, you know, previous job in Boston, which was lucrative and successful, and there was no reason that was good for me to leave other than feeling like I had this drive to do something else. And so I took a big risk. I left my job, and I started the dog center. And so essentially I started with a couple of dogs a day at a doggy daycare and just continued pursuing it from there.
Did you do that in Boston?
So I came down to the Cape to do that. I rented a little unit, you know, in an industrial park, and essentially just started all the process in terms of loans and things like that to, you know, get it going, and started really small and just built it from there.
And what made you interested in coming to Cape Cod?
there was a lot of reasons. Part of it was the commute was tough. You know, I didn't love commuting into Boston because I was living in the suburbs of Boston at that point. You know, also I researched a lot in terms of competitive businesses, what the industry is like in different areas, and I found that Cape Cod just kind of didn't have this all-in-one kind of encompassing place that was also really dedicated to, you know, modern methodologies of animal care in terms of, you know, ethics and positive reinforcement and, you know, having it be a fun, happy place. I found that a lot of, you know, the area seemed like it had some outdated services, and so I was thinking, okay, this could be a really great thing to bring to this area, and I love the area. You know, I was coming for vacations and things, and I was like, oh wow, wouldn't it be great to just like live in a community like that and, you know, be able to have an impact, and so it just kind of drew me in.
Yeah. So it seems like you do a lot of research, that as you're working, you're looking for opportunities.
Exactly, you know, and I feel like for me, I mean, I'm just kind of a driven person where I'm always looking for more information, and, you know, I wanted to, knowing that, you know, working with animals are living things that we all love and care about, I really learned, you know, digging deeper about the ethics of, you know, caring for animals and, you know, how to do it right versus doing it the wrong way, and, you know, a lot of misinformation out there because it is an unregulated industry. So, you know, I made sure that I did that research in the first place. I did pursue a diploma in canine behavior and a certificate in dog training, and continually, you know, pursue continuing education in it because every day there's new research, there's a lot of science being done in terms of dog cognition and behavior that is new information, because it's something that people didn't look at for a really long time, or that they misunderstood and just said, oh, it's pack oriented and dominance based, when actually a lot of that has been disproven from science. So it's really amazing to kind of learn and dig deeper into the, you know, behavior analytical approach of really understanding, you know, what they're doing and why, and, you know, enjoying, you know, having a relationship with them where you can really communicate.
Do you see pet care as a growth industry?
Yeah, it's only gotten more and more popular in the time that I've done it. You know, it's going in all different directions. There's even more career opportunities than I would have thought of. Like I said, you know, I thought, oh, I can't be a veterinarian, so I guess I'm out. When in reality, you know, I created all these opportunities for myself and other people, you know, whether it's dog daycare or vet tech work or, you know, being a dog walker, or, you know, all these different things are, somebody's looking for them and need them, you know, and there's never seems to be enough. You know, it's like, I'll hire one person, then I'll need another person for the dogs, or, you know, I'll hire a groomer and then it's like, oh, now we have work for 2 groomers, or, you know, so it's definitely on the rise, and regardless of COVID and the way that the world is now, people are still need care for their dogs, and if anything, they need more care because they're like, oh, now I have a dog at home because of the pandemic, and, you know, I don't get to get it out and socialize it, or I need help training it because I've never had a dog, you know, so it's just continued to move. Yeah.
Do you think there are opportunities to have a good career in the pet care industry?
You know, there's opportunities such as things like physical therapy for dogs. I mean, whatever your niche is or drive or interest in dogs, like, you could turn it into a career as long as you're pretty much the expert in it and you do your research and you know, become educated in your field. You know, there's people who are craving all of these things with people who are competent to do them. It's just a matter of being confident in yourself and learning the information you need and pursuing something that's genuine for you. You know, I think sometimes people take jobs because they think, oh, that's a lot of money or whatever. But a part of it too is, you know, the balance of, well, is this something that I love and feel passionate about, and can also, you know, make my livelihood so I can afford the things that I want in my life, which, yes, you can, you know. You know, I started out as a dog walker going to community college, and here I am, I own a business. So, you know, it's not impossible, and it's really about, like I said, the work that you do, what you put into it.
Can you share some examples of some of the hard choices you've had to make along the way?
It definitely was, like, you know, tough at points in terms of, like, wondering where my future would lie. You know, when I was going to college and I was kind of dabbling in thoughts, I was like, well, is working with animals really going to pay off? I'm just working for this little dog walking company. Like, can I really just kind of put that other stuff on the back burner and jump full into this? Which I just said, you know what, I'm going to take the risk. I'm young now, and I tried it, and, you know, it only paid off for me, you know, and then it was kind of a question of, at that point, okay, now I've got a stable job that I love. Like, am I really gonna rock the boat again and take the risk into jumping into starting my own business? And, you know, I weighed the pros and cons, and sometimes you don't even get to weigh all the pros and cons. You get there later and you're like, what did I do? Or why did I do this? You know, but, you know, at the end of the day, no regrets. Like, I fully put myself into it, and in the end of it, I only lost a little bit of income in the transition and picked it right back up, and I'm doing better than ever in terms of, our business revenue, which is, great in terms of a business. We were able to expand and build a new facility, which is something that I dreamed of for, almost 10 years now, where I thought, oh, it'd be so cool to have this center, and, I hoped that maybe someday I would ever get there, but I never imagined it 30 years old, So I'm super proud of it, I'm super happy with it, and, it's a matter of seeing what sometimes you don't always see the final goal, but even if you do, it's just kind of doing the hard work to get there and making some risky choices sometimes.
Yeah. Were there any particular skills or any knowledge that really were the keys to your success?
And I think the biggest part of it is hands-on experience. Nothing really beats hands-on experience, or having people who are mentors along the way to kind of show you some things. But in terms of my industry, it's like working with the animals and really learning how to observe dog body language and behavior has just given me a wealth of knowledge that you can't get anywhere else. You can read it in a book, you can watch videos, but having the live experience is like better than anything. So I think that really enables me to do my job to the best ability, where I can evaluate the dogs and make sure they're friendly and safe with each other. And it's that, I think, has been what's invaluable.
What about the skills needed to work with people?
Yeah, so that's a whole part of it too. I've kind of had to put on this, what I call a hat, to work with other people. I wasn't overly social or confident or comfortable as a person like any people are. Nobody loves, putting yourself out there, and it's tough to be a leader to other people a lot of the times. But one day I said, okay, you know what, I'm going to put that hat on because I need to do all this hard work for dogs, and I want to really push these goals and really get there. Let me try to, meet in the middle and try to push myself to do these things that are a little out of my comfort zone. And I did have some management experience, and my first job at 16 years old was being a shift leader at McDonald's. So it counts, and so I was doing things like checking the drawers and managing the staff, and so I had a little dabbling of experience of management in the first place, and I did take a couple of courses in college to learn a little bit about that. But like I said, it's kind of pushing yourself outside of yourself a little bit and being like, hey, how do I reach those goals? Sometimes you're going to have to be a little uncomfortable and try something new, and in the end, I think it's converted me into a people person. It's like now I feel comfortable to talk about all these things and share them, and I love meeting new people, and it really can surprise you when you step out of the box.
If you could go back in time and give yourself advice to help you along this journey, what would it be?
Good question. I would say, don't give up, keep it going. Even on the hard days, it's totally worth it. I think for me, it's like, life is so unpredictable sometimes, but
right now it's perfectly unpredictable.
Exactly, so it's just kind of living on the edge of that and not being afraid to take the jumps you need to kind of hope that, in good faith that things will work out. And, knock on wood, it's worked for me so far. And, I think it's just kind of making sure as a young person you keep your head up and realize that you don't have to know everything today or tomorrow or in 10 years, the world's your oyster and you can always change too. I'm 30 years old. I don't know where I'm going to be in 20 years. I know it's going to be with dogs, but it could be, the sky is the limit. So it's really just kind of keeping in perspective that who you are today doesn't have to be who you are tomorrow or in 10 years.
What is your measure of success?
I would say, I think societal normative, measure of success is all about cash flow and, all these expectations, but for me, I feel like it's really about being true to yourself, being authentic in the work that you do, genuinely enjoying it and providing things that you can serve other people and animals, because for me, animals are a huge passion of mine. So for me, I'm like, okay, my success is manifested in me, having a job that I love every day, and I get to touch these people's lives and these dogs' lives, and it's all just comes back around and feels so good, and so that's the biggest part of it is just being able to feel that.
Kailey, I really enjoyed talking with you today. It's great to talk with somebody that's been able to find their passion and make a living doing what they love. Thank you so much for joining us on In Search of Greatness.